Call the meeting to order. Roll call.
Gary Mertig,
Here.
Martin Vitek,
Here.
Michael Berlin,
Here.
Rich Huber,
Here.
William Metzinger,
Here.
all here.
Move to approve the agenda. Marty,
And this is Huber, I'll second it.
Rich?
Yeah.
Any questions, changes, additions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. November 13th, 2023 meeting minutes. Motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes for November.
Motion by
13th.
Rich, I'll second. Second by Marty. Any questions, corrections? Additions, deletions? Looks good. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Public comment via Zoom.
We have,
Nobody on, nobody registered?
No.
Okay.
we have gentlemen from the town of Marengo here.
Jim Schultz. Ken Reese. Commissioner report.
Employees, so we are full staff on employees, so we're doing good there. We've been since October now. Filled our positions, so that is going good. Any questions on employees? Basic work schedule. As you can all see, we haven't been plowing that much. A little bit here and there, chasing small stuff. We had one snowstorm, a month or so ago. Mellon area got up to 16 inches, but Ashland, Glidden only 3 or 4. So we've been cutting a lot of brush. We've been cutting on GG pretty heavy. We are probably finished today. I think the section between Mellon and Clam Lake should be complete. We're on the Clam Lake end, and probably be hopping down to south section of GG, continuing on with that cutting. So we've also been doing some brushing along 13 north of Glidden, some tree cutting, and then some brushing farther north of that where it's already cut. So I think that's coming along. It's looking good along that, getting that side cut out.
Yeah, I want to say something. I've had more positive comments about not only brushing on 13, because everybody appreciates it moving south, but County F.
Okay.
I've had a lot of comments at like the town meetings that I go to and stuff too, that they really like what was done on the F.
Okay, good. Yeah, we did get the brush mower out on F and N. The brush mower's been up for the town of Jingles now for the last couple of weeks. We're tying that up. If it didn't finish last week, they'll finish up today. Sure, it's got to come down here for a few repairs and then it'll head back out somewhere. So it's a good winter for cutting brush. I mean, it's we have been using that too, but this one's the boom mower that got the arm, so that one's a little older. The John Deere has just the ditch side mower. We did go a lot with that to get what we could off of the road or without getting too far off the road, but that one's more for good ground or right off the shoulder of the road. So yeah, we used it almost all of December, I think. Yeah. Been doing some patching and such. For myself, I did go to road school last month. There were some good sessions in there. Taking care of the non-metallic mine permits through the county are due January 31st. So I spent a lot of time on that. So if you guys have heard anything about the small bridge inventory, culvert inventory, the DOT, the legislator approved a 12.5 million last session in July there when they approved the budget to inventory all culverts between 6 and 20 feet in the state. Inventory and inspect. So there's been quite a few webinars and trainings on that, and then I've been going to the town meetings. I've hit think 4 or 5 so far. I have 3 this week to go to, talking to the towns about it. So there's 2 portions, the inventory and an inspection. The inventory portion, the towns have a choice, basically 3 choices from DOT. They can do it themselves. They can ask the highway department to do it, or they can say they don't want anything to do with it. Let or the Towns Association know, and they will get a consultant to do it. When I've been talking to them, I've been telling them, you know, if they want to do it themselves, that's fine. If they want the highway department to do it, I would rather do it in conjunction with them. DOT is paying $100 per structure that qualifies. I tell them, you know, I'll split it with you 50-50. You send one of your guys out with me. That way they know their roads, they know their system, they know where these culverts are located, and I can help take care of the paperwork end of it. And so far, most of the towns I've talked to have been going that route. So, and then as far as the inspection portion, you have to be a certified bridge inspector for that, which I am. The county has the choice of if the county wants to do, well, at first they said there was 2 options. You either do the whole county, or you tell WCA, and they will, if you don't want to do the whole county, then they will find a consultant to do it. They came out now, the highway departments have the option to do just the county system, or the whole county and towns, or to put it out for consultants. So I think I'm going to do the whole county. I mean, I'm expecting between 100 and 150 structures. DOT is paying $350 per inspection. You know, if there's 100 structures, I can bring in 35,000 to the department, and, you know, a couple weeks worth of work possibly. So that is my game plan for the inspections portion.
When I've been going to some of the town meetings too, for a couple of years, I've been trying to tell the people, every time you're out, a couple of things, take a picture of your culverts, because in flood problems, then you have a starting point, and GPS them.
Yeah.
I mean, I can GPS any location in the county on my phone, they can too.
Yeah.
I've been trying to tell them, when we have another flood in there, then you got everything documented.
Sure.
Because then, I mean, the towns out there every day.
Yep.
You go by a culvert, stop and take a picture of it, GPS it.
So Brittany from GIS, the county GIS person, is going to put a program together using ArcGIS or whatever she uses. She kind of did put a program together through that FEMA grant that the county had, but it asked for like 100 things, and the towns weren't really interested in it. It was a little bit too much information. So I asked her to modify it to just get what this is looking for. It's a lot simpler. So when I go with these towns, what I'm telling them is we will use this program, then they will have access to it into the future. They want to do the rest of their culverts, you know, between the, you know, 6-incher up to the 6-footer. They can use this program. They can look at a map. It'll pop a point where that is. They can click on the point, see what the culvert is, see all the information. I think it'll be a good program for them to use in the future, and it won't be so too much information like the initial one was. So yeah, the other thing, spring load postings. As probably many of you have heard from different loggers or different people, we posted the roads about 2 weeks ago now. We were showing, you know, 6 to 10 inches of thaw that morning. We did an emergency load posting. It hasn't got any better since then. We were hoping at that time, the forecast showed maybe by the end of the week it would cool off. That didn't happen. Now it said over this weekend and this week was going to cool off. I pulled 2 tubes on my way into work this morning. I checked County E Friday. It had 16 inches of thaw, and it was froze from 16 to 38. I stopped this morning and pulled it. It was thawed 18 inches, and it come 2 inches off the bottom, only to 36. So we lost 2 inches of frost on either side of it. And I was like, wow, I was a little surprised. You know, it was pretty cool over Saturday, Sunday. obviously it was warm and sunny, and that probably thawed out anything that came back Saturday. So, you know, my intention is to monitor this daily or very often. When and if it freezes back up, I'm hoping it does this week. We'll put the bags back on the signs and post them for as long as we can. You know, the loggers are calling daily, wondering what the plan is, hoping to get some wood out. And I get it. They have huge investments. They need to get their wood out. But, you know, I mean, we have 91 miles of road. I figure that you pulverize and pave, if they wreck it, it's about 500,000 a mile. So about $50 million investment we're trying to protect here. What, you know, hopefully we can make it work, but just the weather is what it is. So that's kind of my for work schedule. If anybody has any questions. Yeah.
How is it balancing off the fact that you haven't done any plowing this year? As far as the state money,
So
the money is saved on the plate.
So yeah, we've been doing some on the state, some brushing and stuff, but it does not, you know, cost as much as plowing does. So, you know, going forward, depending on how the rest of the winter goes, if the winter stays easy, come summertime, we will be able to do a lot more work for the DOT. You know, like last year, we came out of the winter way in the hole. So throughout the summer, we did very little work. We didn't pull shoulders. We didn't add no shoulder gravel. We did very little, minimal work, as little as possible. So this year, if we come out of winter good, which it looks like we're going to, we'll be able to do some more of these maintenance items that would be good to do, especially shoulders. I hate to see it when we don't pull shoulders and then there's spots where we're getting some drop off where we need to add gravel back in, and there should be money for that this year.
So the money you're making from the state doesn't offset that.
So
It's not a money making project.
well, basically we have a contract with DOT for $1 million. It's just over like $1,040,000 or something. We have a contract for $1 million. Starts January 1st. So if we spend whatever we spend plowing, you know, they look at it, and so then we have X amount of dollars for the rest of the year. So if we don't spend it plowing, we can do it the rest of the year. If we spend it plowing, then we can't do much for the rest of the year. So we're going to get our money either way, just what you're doing with it, I guess. So, any other questions?
Just one thing I'll bring up now, because we're gonna talk about it in a second. You're gonna hear about this coming up. At patching on 13 South, some of it peeled out plowing.
Okay, I haven't looked at it real close.
In
So.
north of like the last blacktop patch.
Mhm.
There's some of it that the plow just picked up.
Okay.
There's no way that project lasts until 27. I'm sorry. It just, I'll tell you what somebody told me who's not even involved in road building. She said, you should have just pea gravelled it again. I mean,
Chip seal
or chip seal it, because what the patches that are in there that are still holding are okay. But north of that last patch, the trucks picked that patching right out of there again.
Mm-hmm.
So now everybody's dodging those holes again. It's a no-win situation with that piece of road, and I understand 27, but if there's one problem in that part of this, and like I say, we'll talk about it. It's certainly, and if I have to go to the governor, I will, because it is not. I'm sorry, it's not going to last till 27. I know it was okay for a while, but as soon as those things start coming out, you're going to be, I don't know what you're going to do. So
as far as construction for this year, it's let through DOT. It's in the city of Mellon, the Tyler Avenue Bridge will be replaced. It did bid in January. Larson Construction was low bid. I did not see if that was awarded yet. I haven't seen anything. I didn't seen it was bid, but I don't know that it's awarded, but it looks like it came in below the engineer's estimate. And that one is funded at construction at 100%. So it should not cost the city of Mellon anything from what I'm seeing. So, which is good for them. We'll talk about county highway paving here farther down on discussion 9. So that's all I have with commissioner's report.
I was gonna ditto what Gary was saying, but maybe not as bad, but on 169. That's quite a roller coaster out there.
Yep.
I don't know what the solution is, but
Yeah, it's scheduled to get repaved. Is it next year? 25, yeah. So, the DOT is here to talk about that on our next item. So can you go to, there's
Matt's got a little PowerPoint slides
Wait,
out here for us.
their screen then too somehow.
My name's Bob Hill.
Turn it down.
With me, Tim Spursnick and Chuck Hubbard. Me and Chuck were up with last summer. Did our
Can you hit,
with you guys.
PowerPoint or Adobe? I don't know. You need to go back to share screen on the other one. Down as they need it. All right.
Bottom right is the little magnifying glass. It should be a plus one. Okay, so, yeah, we got just a couple slides I want to share with you guys. Kind of give you a general overview of where things are sitting at with our program. And then we'll, there's got a few handouts here that we'll talk through kind of our evaluation of roads in the county here specifically, and then we can answer any questions you guys have. So appreciate the opportunity to come up. We send out program maps usually twice a year. We just got done with sending some out, so Matt asked us to come up and talk with you guys. So, go ahead and slide down. So might be missing that's there we go. All right, so our all of the state highways in Ashland County are part of what we call our 3R system. We have two systems, I guess, the 3R system and the backbone system. Backbone roads would be like interstates and the 408, 53, and those kinds of roads. And we separate them into two systems because they're funded differently. So I guess for Ashland County, really the main concern is our 3R system. And we break that down into 409 paving segments, which centerline miles is 2,650 miles, about 720 bridges and 540 what we call C structures, and then obviously a ton more just general roadway pipes. And then I just put some information that goes through 52 cities, 93 villages, almost 400 towns. So it's a pretty big system. We're the largest region in Wisconsin by area and the second largest by amount of miles and assets that we have to improve and maintain. And I put our budget information on the bottom there. And these are new numbers actually as of 2 weeks ago. Our central office reduced our budgets in the red box there from 27 to 29. We lost almost $18 million. And then our budgets that are projected for 2030 and 2031 actually went down by 16 million per year. That has a lot to do with federal money not coming through as planned or predicted. infrastructure bill got signed. So we had made assumptions and the money just hasn't been there, so kind of had to reduce our assumptions. So that's a really big blow for us in the region to have our budgets reduced, because we were actually optimistic that we'd be seeing an increase, because the state budget that the governor passed last July included an increase for our funding. So we were excited to be able to get to do some of our projects earlier that are in much dire need of work, as you guys are well aware. If you want to go down to the next slide. So I just kind of wanted to highlight one little thing here on how we view the roads, and we kind of look at every individual segment, every individual bridge, and ask, what are we trying to accomplish with this? And it sounds like a pretty simple question, but it helps us organize all of the roadways, and we put them in four buckets, as we call them. And you don't really have to worry about the details of the decision tree that much, but understand that there's a very systematic process of kind of evaluating the roadways. And the box 1 on the bottom would be preservation type work. So that's soon after something's paved, we want to get out there and keep that surface nice and clean and fresh, and take care of that investment. And then box 2 and 3 are kind of very similar. That's more of that mid-level resurfacing, going out there, milling off 3 inches and putting 3 inches back. That kind of, after the road is deteriorated a little bit, way of extending the life of the pavement, but not obviously redoing it all together. And then we have our box 4, which is the furthest one on the right. That is the roadways that basically used up all of the life in the pavement. And now the last thing we can do is a pavement replacement or something very extensive to start that whole life cycle over. So obviously box 1 is things we like to do. That's the preservation. That's a lot cheaper. And then on the other end, you know, box 4, which is we try to avoid having pavements in the end of life, very low condition. And those are the 13s, the 169s. Those are the miles that we have in that box. And what we're seeing right now in our region is we can't keep up with our resurfacing. We can't keep up with our preservation. When you don't do those things, they just deteriorate and wind up in box 4, right? And that's the trend we're on right now, that almost 40% of our entire system is sitting in box 4, needing a pavement replacement that's very expensive, and we just don't have the money, right? I just showed you on the last slide, our budgets are going down and our expenses are going up for improvements, because more and more miles are landing in that end of life state. Which is probably not a new message at all, but we just want to reiterate and be clear about, you know, how we are analyzing this on an individual segment basis, to put real numbers to it, and it's not just a song and dance, but it's real numbers. I'll go ahead and move on to the next slide. So then this kind of shows our prioritization, how we spend our money, right? So we put all these miles in these boxes, and that sounds nice. But now, how do we decide to spend the money? And our first priority is that box 4, when we've actually reached the end of the life. So a pavement can be trending towards that end of life, but when does it actually get there? We call that, for short, we say serviceability. It's phrase, it's kind of meant to safety and serviceability. When have we reached the end of this road no longer being serviceable? And then after that, we would go back and do preservation. We'll do our resurfaces, and then the last priority would be non-critical end of life treatments. So our main concern, our primary concern, is when roads are reaching the serviceability. Go to the next slide, I'll explain that a little bit more. So what is this thing I'm calling serviceability? So when a segment has reached the end of its pavement life, a pavement replacement is required, right? There's no more life in that pavement, so we need to start over. The road is no longer acceptable to the driving public. Matt's getting a lot of calls. You guys are getting a lot of calls. We're getting a lot of calls. Getting calls from the public. We're getting calls from local officials, again, calls from legislatures, some people are talking to them. That's a very good cue to us that the road is no longer acceptable. And maintenance activities are no longer effective, right? We're talking about 13, the patching isn't working, right? The road is too far gone. We're not able to maintain these things. We call that being in a serviceability state, that the road is no longer serviceable. Go on to the next slide. So right now, we have 590 miles in our 6-year program. So that's, you can see, 98-mile average per year that we're treating with our program. And this is prior to our budgets getting reduced. So again, that just happened 2 weeks ago. So we're going to have to rebalance down to our new numbers. And that means projects are going to be actually moving out. So our ability to treat miles per year is being reduced. So we're going to be, under that 98 miles per year. But right now, even if, as it stands, before we have to move any projects, 334 of the 590 miles are addressing serviceability issues. That is, pavement is no longer serviceable to the public, and we need to do that project now. So that's over half of those miles. That is the burden that we're up against. We're not really putting much life back into the system with our resurfacing. We're chasing these end of life issues that we're having. And one strategy that we've had to implement to kind of help pay for this burden of end of life needs is going out and putting a 2-inch paving band-aid on the pavements. While the roadway is not acceptable to the driving public, we can't afford to go out there and rebuild the entire pavement structure of the roadway. So on a lower ADT road, we're just going to put 2 inches on it to make the road flat again and safe for people to drive. We understand that is a very inefficient way to spend money and a very not the right thing to do for that roadway, right? The road needs to be rebuilt, and we acknowledge that. But we obviously, we can have a choice of either paving 100 miles a year or paving about 20 or 30 miles a year. And obviously, when we have 2,700 miles to maintain, we have to kind of balance those things. So about a third of those miles that are treating these end of life needs are doing this kind of lower cost, just get something flat out there for the public to drive on. So again, not a good story, kind of laying out the challenges that we're trying to juggle here in our entire region. Go ahead and keep down. So right now, we are working on developing our 2030 program. So our 6-year program right now runs from 2024 to 2029. So we're working on 2030 and been in touch with Matt a little bit. Probably not as much as we would normally, just because the story is so bleak that we haven't actually finalized what we picked. We're just kind of in wait and see mode right now. So you'll be hearing more from us, Matt, when we get closer to sorting some of this out. But when we look at, the first thing we do when we're trying to pick a program is look at all the needs that we have to balance for that year. That's the top box there. 923 miles is what we should be treating in 2030. And obviously I showed you in the last chart that we're at best treating 100 miles, right? The second box is, well, let's just look at what are our serviceability needs for 2030. And maybe we can just treat those. Well, that's up to 240 miles there. So obviously we're not even going to be addressing all of the roadways that we see being a condition that is deemed unacceptable by the public. So our 2030 allocation I put on the bottom there is 88 million. And about 55 of that is what we'll spend on pavements. So that's not even half of what our serviceability in 2030. So then, okay, maybe we treat half of those serviceability miles and then we'll just do the rest in 2031, right? That's kind of what I put on the right there is between 2031 and 2033, there's an additional almost 400 miles of roadways that'll be in serviceability at that point. So I think you guys can easily see the story here that we are falling significantly behind on even keeping the roads somewhat drivable. And we're well aware of where we're heading, and we just want to be open about that. It's not going to be pretty, and it's not pretty now in some of the roads. Obviously, in Ashland County, we're starting to feel that now, and it's going to be a lot more widely spread in about 5 or 6 years from now. Good. Any questions? Want to add now, or we can? I got one slide yet. Slide down. This is kind of our snowball effect, just in the graphic view. The first 6 years on the left, the first bars, that's what we're actually treating in our program, and then the other bars after that are the needs that we have piled up. As you can tell, we're not going to come close to being able to fund that snowball of needs that's just sitting out in 2030 to 2032. So, short of a miracle, or I don't know, Matt's got any special new products he can go put all over the roads for us. We're just trying to be real about where things are at right now. Not a good. We can pause for any questions if anybody has. Otherwise, Tim's got a quick hand out he wants to walk through.
Just a question, what was the shortfall in this present budget that they cut your budget?
So when the federal infrastructure bill gets signed, they tell the states this is how much money we're getting, and then they tell us assumptions that we can make moving forward for our planning. And as we've gotten into a couple years, kind of what, I don't know a ton of the details because I'm not in discussions, but it sounds like kind of what we said we were going to get got less. So,
just ballpark, what was the less?
Is it, well, we had to reduce our budgets by 2% per year. So that's kind of when that 2% builds out. Well, I assume I'm going to get 2% this year. I'm going to get another 2% the next year. Basically, they're not covering inflation. Is kind of what I had heard.
Okay, so the argument for us to make to somebody higher up is by reducing that budget approximately 2% per year, you're just making this problem worse than
Right.
because you're not doing what you should be doing now to maintain it.
Oh yeah.
So that huge jump that you show, okay, I just want something so that I can have something to argue with.
Yeah, and there's nothing that would change in the state, right? Because this is what we're getting from the federal government.
Right, so we have federal people that
Sure.
need to know that,
Yep.
and if they want to take a tour on the roads, so
Oh, yeah.
we can do that too. But, and again, I want to accent the positives to you guys, and I know you're hearing it from us, the negatives, but I want to be able to take the negatives to the governor, to the legislature, to the Fed, because they're creating this problem. It's not like they don't have the money. Even the state has money at the moment that they want to just do without whatever. And if roads aren't the most important thing right now, there's something wrong with them. And so don't take anything I say or somebody says personal, because I'm not attacking you guys.
Right. No,
But
yeah, I understand.
I need to know where to go with these facts because I'm gonna go to the higher ups.
Yeah.
And whether they listen or not, because I guarantee you, my constituents who drive those roads, and 169, I agree, it's just as bad as any of them.
Yep.
Those people that drive those roads every day, I mean, I wanna know how many tires are getting worn out by driving on those roads. I mean, it's just, um, yeah, yeah, so, like you say, this helps, thank you.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, the numbers that you put, that you projected forward, do those include a factor for inflation, or is that?
So the numbers on our charts are miles. So the last bar chart, is that the one you're referring to? Or?
Yeah, well, I guess what I wanted, just a general kind of a question, is that when you did this, did you absolute
yeah.
dollars? Or did you factor in inflation?
So, yeah, no, we account for inflation in our budgets. Yep. So when I say our budget is 88 million, but we can only spend 55 million on pavements, we're already leaving a placeholder to pay for inflation in the future. Yep. Yep, for sure. And ideally, we actually wouldn't do that because the federal government would keep up with inflation as well as the state government. The state actually came through last summer, like I mentioned, and gave us a 7% increase on our budget. But then when the feds, wiped out the 2%, they were intending to give us that, in essence, canceled itself out. So that's why our budgets went down, because we had to remove the assumption that the feds would come through with and paying for inflation. Kind of convoluted way of having a budget reduced, but didn't help things for sure. So,
You hit hand out?
yeah. So when I talk about those 4 boxes of end of life and preservation and resurfacing, this is a map that shows where we place each of the segments. And there's 3 different colors that kind of help show that. And then we put in a PCI reading.
So this is kind of our strategy for Hatfield County on where we do roadways are at and their point of life. They're gonna need to be in the preservation mode, midlife, or end of life. You can see that by the color, preservation red, midlife green, end of life blue. So if you notice underneath the legend, there are PCIs that are, so what those are would be is our pavement condition. So that tells us when we drive the roads, they'll measure all the distresses in the roadways, and they'll calculate what the PCI comes with. Basically, it's a total number. It goes from 0 to 100. The lower the number, the worse these roadways are. The higher number, the better the roadways are. So when we do our strategies, there's certain PCIs we're trying to shoot for when we want to treat these roadways. So for a preservation, we want to get the PCI basically end up down by 70. For a midlife, we want to get it to about 55. And then for the end of life, we're trying to get about that 50. And you'll notice that each segment on here has a segment number. And if you take that segment number and go to table, right here, it's kind of small, but you can figure out which of these roadways is that segment. So segment 50950, you can find that on the sheet, and that's all the statistics on the sheet. I'll tell you what the PCI is, which is the second column to the last. IRI, if we have a project on there, and then kind of our window, which is our next line under this table or this graph, basically telling everybody where do we feel like the window is for this roadway. So this is where we should probably treating this roadway somewhere between either 2038, 2040 for one example. But this is all dependent on getting proper funding. These all can be changed depending on our field reviews, depending on what our budget's coming in. So just because it says we should be doing something in 2028 doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be done in 2028. it's kind of all depending on funding. You just need to have that funding available. to Basically, do that work, but that's kind of what we feel like, that's kind of the stop. Is we need to have it done by then, otherwise we're gonna get in trouble.
Okay, and
So,
are these
let me clarify.
years are different?
Yeah, so one thing is about the projects that are in our 6-year program. We make that window basically what the earliest it can be designed to. I think that it should be 27, isn't it?
Yeah.
Uh,
26
it was-
to 27.
It was 28, but, we talked to design staff and we were like, what's the earliest you can possibly do it? And it's 27. So I never changed that out
Yeah.
here. That's
That-
what we want.
So that should
Moved
see-
up a year.
Yeah. So one thing I want to clarify is, even though we write 27 or 28, or even like Mellon says 25, that is the year that the project is scheduled in. While we would obviously like to move it forward, there's no point in us putting an earlier date if we can't get the project delivered. So one of the biggest points is more the ones that are a little bit further out, where the 2030, 2032, 2034, that's a little bit more for a planning purpose of like, okay, when is DOT thinking I'm going to need a project on this roadway next? And also just want to highlight, these are very extended timelines, like to the maximum possible. Now, when we go to school for engineering, this would never be approved in an engineering textbook. Like, this is pushing roadways beyond how far they should go, but it has more of a, based on the PowerPoint we showed, how do we have to think about these roadways to get every single drop we can out of it? About 10 years ago, DOT would say, we want no roadway to ever get below a 55 PCI. And now we're saying, well, that's about when we're gonna get to about a 3-inch mill and fill. So there's been a total shift in how we just look at roadways and needing to maximize the life out of these pavements. So just know that we've tried to extend and push things as possible in light of our funding issues. That it's not that we think this road is going to be in wonderful condition up until that latest year. So
Definitely take into account for funding. I mean, we have to. in order to program.
but the point is that you can kind of see, what we recognize as end of life, what we recognize is trying to get in the midlife resurface. It'd be a lot cheaper than doing that end of life type work. Some timelines to show where it's prioritizing for us.
Well, the one in Mellon that you got, I mean, that's already done, right? Why would you have that on there, 38 to 2040?
That'd be looking forward
That's what I'm
to,
looking forward.
So that's be done that soon?
that would be just kind of sprucing the surface up, again,
Oh,
if we
okay.
had
Preservation.
Okay.
funds to do so, that'd be taking care of the pavement to get the most life out of it.
Okay,
Yep, for sure. So,
About US 2 segment 5140. It shows 2030 there, but I know on the schedule you had sent it, it does not make it, I don't believe. Not on there at all. Which I don't quite understand. If you go to your table, then that has it at a 68 PCI, but up in the top you have in blue in the end of life, so 5140, yeah.
is,
Part of it's
no,
That one's asphalt.
Yeah, that one is on our list for a potential candidate for 2030.
Okay, I mean, that one is, Mike will tell you, it's not real nice through some of that, like by the town of Sandburn, there's a big rut right there.
So we're not going to be able to bring any more projects into 29 or earlier. 'Cause those are the years that we just got the budget reduction for. So if anything's projects are getting moved out. 2030 is the one that we're still trying to figure out what to do with, and that's on the screen right now, 500 miles we have to pick from. So we're not saying it isn't picked, but we're also not saying it is picked. We have a whole nother round of field reviews we're gonna do this summer to try to sort all this out. You know, and some people think it's easier when you, there's no wrong answer, right? There's 500 miles to pick from, just pick 80 of them and do it. Well, we take it a lot more serious than that. Of we want to try to pick the best 80, you know, not best, but the most right 80 miles that will have the biggest impact when we actually get to 2030. So there's a lot of careful thought that goes into it. Matt'll have an opportunity to weigh in when we get closer to that and see what winter does, if it does anything for the roadways this year. It is on the list and considered for.
Questions of the
Going through a lot of information at you guys, so if you need some time to mull it over, definitely you can reach out to us at any time. And see if we can think about something.
And I would just want to say thank you again for coming down last summer.
Yeah.
For giving a tour with us and for this today. A lot of times, not sure where to go, but.
Anybody else have any questions, I guess?
You guys have anything else for us or?
I think that's kind of what we were bringing, and I wanted to just answer any questions you have, or. We don't bring good news a lot these days, but I guess if anything, we can instill in you that we're trying our best and we're working hard to consider everything we possibly can. And
I was recommend taking those state plates off that car.
sometimes some stickers accidentally fall out.
Yeah.
Former city. Places.
Yeah.
If we. For Jim, sure. Right.
Oh, there's a question over the match here. If, and I was surprised that area owned by the dump to the town center, town hall held up last year, but I don't know. But the way it's gonna go this year, it's being pushed out further, it's gonna start breaking up and chunking out.
Yeah,
So I don't know.
yeah, I mean,
What temporary we can do for that, or
we had hoped we'd have a little bit of money left over on that Bear Trap Bridge resurface project. They'd give us extra money. We had hoped to do a little bit of just a rut paved through that area, which we didn't. We ran out, but we actually just were visiting about that this morning. And, you know, as Dick asked earlier, if we come out of winter here with some extra dollars, that will be one of the spots we'll be looking at for sure for a little work.
I don't know how I drive that.
Mhm.
Why doesn't drive it?
Yeah. Yep, for sure. That's a section, I mean, you know, you're saying 2030, it's gonna, by then it's gonna be pretty bad.
What's that, only about 1,000, 1,300 feet maybe?
The worst section, but that whole section from Ashland to Government Road is,
Oh, yeah.
it's gonna, by 2030, it's gonna be not real nice looking. It's gonna be pretty tough. So,
Patches that we're doing there now,
yeah,
before any, before Bear Trap.
yeah,
Ashland and Bear Trap. Some, yeah, other spots, but not as bad as that township. thing.
yeah. Yeah, that section from the dump to the town hall that one lane is really bad.
Good question. Yeah. In a presentation from for the DOT probably a couple months ago, they asked them. I'm on a city council also. From what I understand from, I don't know if it's really with the project, but from 6th Street down to US 2, they're gonna reduce that from 4 lane to 2 lane. There's been a lot of people writing about that.
No, that's, I believe.
It is connecting highway. There's been, you know, a couple public involvement hearings on that or meetings, you know, design. I tend to agree with them, at least from Sixth Street to US two, it's going to one lane with a bike lane. Some of that is on the city. They wanted to preserve their green space. Or have more green space. They're asking for more. It's not gonna be I don't think it's the right fit for the roadway, but that's how it's been designed and it's come through the public meetings and yeah.
I don't know. A little familiar that that's happening, but usually when it kind of leaves our hands and goes into design, those details get ironed out more with city and designers, so. I guess my assumption is everything's working together and getting the solution we need out there, if it's safety related or what, but I guess, I can, talk to the project manager once and get more information, why we're doing that.
The way they explained it to us is that's a mandatory thing that when you put in state highway in a city, you have to put in bike lanes. Is that true?
Yeah, yep, or reconstructed has to have like
I just can't handle that. You don't have that many people riding bicycles.
that's a federal law that, especially in an urban area, if you're doing that level of project, very extensive project like that, bicycles have to be considered. So when we apply the federal funds to the project, we have to take all the rules that come with it from the federal government. So that's where we get our hands tied. So whether we agree with it or not, it's not really our.
There's a lot of federal rulings that I don't agree with, and that's one of them. For instance, here we have Super One. Just as you would get it into the roadway. You're gonna have a big problem with that. Busy store. And right across the street, we have a pharmacy. And I guess what I'm worried about is when you go from the 4-lane down to a 2-lane, that starts at Sixth Street. Well, now you're funneling all that traffic into 2 lanes. And then I guess, say the first guy in line is gonna turn left and wait for southbound traffic. Now you got it all backed up to the light beyond. The light ain't that far away from that store.
You know, to solve this whole thing is traffic counter, because you're exactly right. There's no way that traffic's not gonna back up the entire 5 or 6 blocks, because that is side-by-side traffic a lot of the days. And you're right, turning either direction is gonna cause a backup. That traffic light will have to, you'll have to just ignore it. But I mean, the traffic counter on there would have said, hey, we have so many vehicles coming across there. From the old, the quick trip down to the other way. You're doing away with a whole lane of traffic that.
You know, you think they're just overlooking that or didn't do it.
I don't.
Well, a lot of times, if we're reducing lanes in an urban area, it's usually generally originates with a request from the city. So, you're on the council, I don't know if the Department of Public Works, has a different perspective of what. I don't know enough about it, but usually, city's pretty heavily involved with taking a lane out. So, I don't want to speak too much to it because I don't know enough about it, but. It'd be interesting to learn a little bit more on the background.
That proceeds like you guys are talking about, that's gonna be an awful nightmare in there with traffic.
Yeah.
I think a third thing too.
Yeah, no, I understand the issues. Again, I'm just gonna stay out of it because I assume it's what everybody wants, so I guess we'll ask some questions and find out, something should be considered there, but I'm guessing there's been enough of a process that it's where it is.
Are you saying that was recommended by the public works?
I'm just saying it could be the case, and usually something like that comes from our working with the city. So, again, I don't know on this one specifically.
That's good to know, then I know what to chew on.
I think part of it, from what my memory, the first plan the DOT came out with, I believe it was down to one lane, but it had the turn lane in the center. So, you know, you could,
yeah.
get out of the traffic and for the turn lanes. But the city administration, I don't know if it's Public Works or administration, wanted to preserve the green space through there. So the turn lanes, there's not enough room for green space and turn lanes.
Well, we wanna preserve the bees and the butterflies too at our expense. Sometimes I think they're smoking some.
Well, thank you very much.
We do have a lot of green.
Could put a roundabout in, not to worry about the lights.
Don't even say that.
Thanks again for your
I
time.
want to grab a donut and take with it for the road.
You probably could, huh?
So,
We had to get up pretty early on the night after the Super Bowl. That was.
Yeah. That was hard. I'm surprised you made it.
Wife had to kick me out of bed.
I can't drive you with it.
Yeah. well,
Here. Here, Dick, here, I'll be over here.
I'll think extra well of you when we're.
Yeah.
We'll talk to the PM. Well, we appreciate the invite to come out. Any partners who can build their own helps a lot, so.
Yeah, thanks.
Yep, Jason, speed on it.
Sure.
Nice.
All right. We had a request at the last meeting to look at the speed limits on GG. Can I have that? Folks? So this is GG. Mellon, here's the mill and Mellon there. So right now it's 25 coming down past the mill, and right past this driveway, it switches to 40 miles an hour and goes up around this corner. And then right in this area here, it switches to 55. The same coming back this way, it's 55 coming from the south, it switches to 40 up around this corner, and then it switches to 25 right here. Not sure what you're thinking. I know we've had requests from the mill in the last year. Last year we put up a truck hauling sign with big flags on it because the traffic they feel is moving too fast. They have a log yard on this side. They cross with their loaders and trucks and equipment. This driveway here isn't used much, but this driveway is fairly often, and then this one here
It's
is
a big one,
yeah. So I'm not sure what you'd like to see or what you were thinking, but
Well, I would like to see the 25-mile-an-hour sign either on this side of the railroad tracks or on the other side of the railroad tracks coming into Mellon. Maybe on this side of the railroad tracks,
so right now they're right here.
because you're a ways out before,
So you're thinking you want to move the 25 back up to here?
yeah, because there's actually nothing there. There's no houses or nothing's used
Yeah.
there.
But like I say, the mill, we put up a truck hauling sign with flags right about where this GG sign is, because they felt they wanted to make sure traffic was slowing down for them at that point. So, I mean, if we move this 25, or the 40-mile-an-hour signs back here, the traffic's gonna be still moving faster coming into that mill area than it is now.
You got that 25-mile-an-hour sign, the actual 25-mile-an-hour speed limit sign, like I said, by the railroad tracks. And the caution 25-mile-an-hour one, if you just switch those two, put the 25-mile one by the tracks and then take the caution one and move it where the 25-mile-an-hour sign
Put
is
it
now.
25 ahead right here,
Yeah,
and then the 25 right here.
well, before the railroad,
The tracks are right.
yeah, okay, right there,
Yeah.
well, yeah.
I mean, you're not talking about that much, but I mean, to me, I mean, you're going awful slow, there's nothing there. I mean, you know, I mean,
Sure.
nobody goes by the speed limit there anyway in
Yeah,
GG, but.
they don't. But the point is, you know, if we move the 25 zone to start right here, you know, they're gonna be moving at 40 through
Yeah, we're
here.
gonna be doing 40 through that section.
Yeah, which, you know, the mill has expressed concern quite a bit in the last year about the speed with how it is.
It isn't
So
distance wise between those two sides isn't all that great.
this is a few hundred feet maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah. But yeah, well, I mean, that's what I would think. I mean, I don't know. I mean, to me, you're going awful slow and there's nothing there. I mean, why would you be going that slow if there's nothing there when you put the 25-mile-an-hour sign by the tracks and then they're supposed to be going 25 there.
You know,
Then
I
it's
mean,
slow all the way up through there then.
I could see taking this, it switches to 40 right here, moving that 40, you know, just past the tracks for when you're leaving town,
Yeah.
you know, you could speed up.
Oh, yeah, that'd
You
be
know,
good. Yeah.
But when you're coming into town, my concern is if we don't start slowing them down out here, they're still gonna be going 40 or 50 through here. You know, if we hold that sign out farther, they are at this point still,
Yeah.
you know, which they could get a fine for it, but it'll just promote faster going into this mill area.
Yeah, I can see your point too, but like I said, I don't know why we're going that slow when there's nothing there. I mean,
Sure.
you know, it doesn't make any sense. Matter of fact, people probably get perturbed and that's why they go so fast through there.
Probably. I
So
mean,
if you had a decent sign where, I mean, decent speed limits, you know, when they're going through nothing, they aren't going really slow.
yeah,
And when they start to get to someplace like the mill, then there's a 25-mile-an-hour speed limit sign here then by the tracks. That's what I was, because they got a ways to go before they get to that log yard, where the trucks come out, you know.
yeah,
They got a long ways to slow up for that.
yeah.
So,
Right up from there, there's plenty of parking.
yeah, right there,
That's
yeah.
lined up here, yeah. It's,
And they're both areas there.
yeah, I suppose that shift changes.
In the morning and stuff.
more,
The
so-
worst thing is Chicago Avenue, because you got all those trucks loading up and leaving. That's the,
Yeah,
if they run that machine across that wood yard,
yeah, they do.
load,
yeah.
they
Yeah,
load here
yeah.
and then they haul it over to
Yeah.
this pile over on this side, yeah.
But like I say, like 25 miles an hour by the tracks and going up to log yard, that's quite a distance there. So I
Yeah.
mean, they got, you know, they should be going 25 anyway all through there.
There is some traffic, some of that.
Dallas comes in and out of
I
there.
mean, you can, well, you can see this muddy trail.
Yeah,
coming in.
yeah,
So they're using that pretty heavy.
yeah. They,
Um,
have the,
The
Stuff
problem
there.
we have is it's not necessarily the locals, but that road is the most traveled Minnesota, Michigan,
it is.
and big trucks all summer. And
when I've done my traffic counts, it's in the summer or fall, but it's 775 is average a day on that road.
Yeah,
And that's high for,
it is. It's getting
For a-
more traveled
Oh,
all the time.
yeah,
And with semis too.
Mhm.
So more semis around there too, so. And they don't, like I said, they don't go by speed limit on GG anyway. There's cars that go past my house.
yeah.
They're going 55 miles an hour.
You know,
I
there's
mean-
40-mile-an-hour out past this curve. You know, I mean, they could go to 55 here, but this curve, I've tried to go 55 around it. It's a little too much for
Yeah,
me.
that should be 40, yeah, because that's,
I believe it got changed to 40. There was a bad accident
yeah,
years ago, Mark Newton, and I don't
Yeah.
know how many years ago that is, but
quite a while ago,
yeah,
but that should be 40, because that is curvy. Yeah, you should slow it for that one, because that 55 would be too fast there.
it is, yeah.
But, well, that's my thought. I don't know if anybody
know what-
thinks any different or what, but
Like I say, I mean, if we pulled that 40-mile-an-hour going out of town back to here, I don't for sure see any issue with that. You know, they could speed up, but coming in, it's, you know, do you want to leave it as is, or do you want them to move that here, which would probably be going a little bit faster past the mill than they are now.
you say slowly when there's nothing there, so.
They're going out, I think I could see something there, but maybe coming in is probably, yeah. Probably the way you said that, because so much going on there. That higher log yard, they don't use that much. do they?
Very, very little. I
No, they
mean,
don't use that for anything. That's all,
yeah, up here, this road, you don't really see any traffic coming on
No.
it at all.
No.
The main is this driveway here. There's a little bit in this one, but that's pretty, but this driveway here and then this driveway over here. So.
Maybe change it going out.
We can, yeah, if that's what the committee would like, we can pull that 40-mile-an-hour sign back to just past the tracks here.
What Ricky's saying, it is pretty tedious once you get past the mill. Going on, but
yeah.
just crawling along, yeah.
It's tourist attraction.
Well, like I said, coming in is pretty tedious too, because you're going so slow and there's nothing there. You know, I mean, why would you have to be going that slow? You know, you got plenty of time by the tracks to slow up at 25, and then by the time you get to log yard, hopefully they should be going 25 way before that, but yeah, I don't, whatever the committee wants to do is, I guess.
Just go with the one going out.
You want to make a motion on that or not, or?
Yeah, I will. Already made a motion to get it going out. Your second?
Yeah.
Second. Any other questions? All those in favor say aye.
Right?
Aye.
Okay, 6 foot, 20-foot culvert.
I pretty much touched base on that, I guess. We know we have 20 of them at least on the county system. My inventory on my computer, I can put 72 and greater. I know there's 20 structures. I do have to go out and look for to go through it for the double culverts. If there's two or more culverts side by side, and they're less than half the diameter of the culvert. So say you have a 4-foot culvert here and a 4-foot here, you can have up to 2 feet or less between them, they would be considered a one structure. If they're over 2 feet between them, then they're separate structures. So I don't have a way in my culvert inventory to break that out. So I have to go field verify some of that, but I know there's 20 in the county system, and you know, like I said earlier, I'm guessing between 100 to 150 countywide with all the towns and cities, villages, culverts. So yeah, them will need to be inspected between this year. We have till the end of 25 to do all the inspections. The inventory, the DOT is giving till the end of 24 to have the inventory finished. I'm asking the towns if they're going to do it themselves, if they could have it done by the end of June. I'd like to get it turned in, and then so I can start on the inspections earlier this year. The other part of it is the DOT is paying $100 per structure for inventory, but there's no reimbursement. The reimbursement will come to the county after I turn in the whole county. So I can't just turn in the town of Marengo's and get their, say they had 10 of them, they could get their $1,000. I have to turn in the whole county, and then the state will send the money to us and we will disperse it out to the towns and whoever did their own inspections. So I'd like to get that done in June.
You need us to make a motion to do that, or just?
No, I don't think so. It's just for information. There's a lot of talk about it throughout the state, the towns, counties. Just wanted you guys to be aware of what's happening with that, I guess. So more of an informational piece.
Then you have to certify that you inspect them because you're licensed.
Yeah, I will go do the inspections for all of them after the inventory is complete. Yep. So I wanted to talk some about our paving for this year. We had on the schedule budget. We budgeted to do 5 miles on GG. LRIP was, well, a new cycle was last fall. It's not 100% approved yet, but basically the counties decide between us how we're gonna break down the money, so I know how the breakdown will come. So for the regular CHI allocation, we're gonna get $85,588. And that will be available, not available in 24, that will be available in 25. For the CHI D, the LRIP D portion, we will get $150,000. That is available in 24. And then the S, the supplementary, we will get $177,795. That is also available in 24. So my thought is, well, the other portion of this is I did put in GG for STP grants. Then we're due in, I want to say October. They had said originally they'd tell us in January what was going to be funded. That has not come out, and the last I heard, it's maybe by March. So I, it's possible some of this could get funded through a federal grant. I won't know until March. But the other thing is I will not have the signed agreements with the states on the LRIP dollars until sometime in March or April also. So I can't put it out for bids until I have them signed agreements. But my thought is to use the CHI-S, the $177,795, along with our budgeted dollars for paving this year to do a 4-mile section from Mineral Lake to Quarry Road on GG, if it doesn't get SDP dollar funded. And then put the other two funds together next year to do the section from Quarry into Mellon. That's just kind of what my thoughts are. I just wanted to run it by the committee to see if you have any other thoughts or what you think.
These projects, this project, that's been survey designed by us.
So that is not, I would do a plan and put it out to bid. If we use county dollars, I don't have to have an engineered plan. It's like the other section of GG we did last year. I put out the bid. I have a standard plan I use in specifications and put it out to bid. Yes.
So that would also fall in line with the other project for 25.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, if we do these two through LRIP, you do not have to have an engineered plan. If it gets federally funded, with STP dollars, then it has to have a fully engineered project plan. But then that is funded through that program also, the design
So
work.
for the next 24 this year, let's go for the next 25. Is there anything that we need to have survey designed? Shelf for these guys?
We had 3 projects on the shelf. We've built 2 of them now. We did County E and F both last year in 23. We have one left. We have designed from GG through the city of Mellon, through the city limits. We have that on the shelf. Looking through the federal funding that's coming, as you've seen these guys, a lot of that, there's not a lot coming down right now to have shelf ready projects. We're better to any funding that comes down, we're better to wait, and the engineering will be done as part of the project and will be paid for.
So if I understand this correctly, with the projects that we have coming up, 26, 27, we can just use, we look like.
So 26 is GG is from where we left off at Spider Creek down to County M. That we got a flap grant that is in the process of being designed right now. So that is in the process. And then also we have the McCarthy Creek Bridge is scheduled for 26. That is also being designed right now by MSA. So them are in the works, they're funded and they're being designed.
They're in the queue.
Yes. Yep. So yeah, I don't see that it's to our advantage to put more dollars into shelf-ready projects at this time. You know, it might change in the future, but right now, that I'm not seeing any big federal funding coming that they want a project immediately. It's all being scheduled out many years, so, which means it can be done as part of the project. That makes sense, I guess.
You need to tell your people, South GG, that was almost $1 million slab.
Yes,
In the GG project, that's a flat program, that's over 2
it's
million.
up to 2.2 is 100%
We
funded.
need to tell the public as those jobs are being done that, hey, the feds are paying.
Yeah,
I mean, this one, next one is fully paid.
that, yes, if as long as it stays within budget, that 2.2 million, it is fully funded.
I mean, the taxpayers won't get it. The county's using federal dollars.
Yes.
To their advantage.
Yep, and the McCarthy Creek Bridge, that's a 80-20, 80% federal, 20% county dollars. So yeah, that's my thought for this year. If the SDP doesn't come through, which we have to wait another month or two, is to pave 4 miles on GG using the LRIP-S dollars. And then the other LRIP dollars to use to finish the rest of it next year, possibly if it passes budget. That would be.
I'm gonna go off what you just indicated, but I want to take it a step further.
Sure.
Typically, when HUD comes into an area, whether it be the reservation or Mellon or Ashland, they put up a big old 4x8 sheet sign, tell them, oh, this is funded. I don't believe we've ever done that. Now I'm gonna go and jump on Gary's bandwagon here. This section of road to this section of road, why can't we do that? Why can't we advertise and tell them who's being, what's that gonna cost us?
I mean, we did it 2 or 3 years ago. That County N out of Mellon was funded with CDBG funding, and that one was required. We had to have the big banner. But if I remember right, it was about $300 to have a banner printed up, and we put it, onto a sheet of plywood and staked it in.
Also, as a project, the sign's still there, it's done, but by the wood yard of the old mill, there's a sign up that project was funded by the infrastructure bill.
Sure.
And you're right, that would tell people, hey, your dollars are being spent. We got a county road fix. And like I say, South GG was $1 million towards it. And
Yeah.
this next one is 2.
Sure. How about on just with county dollars? I mean, are you interested to
Well, why not? Yeah.
to say this was funded with Ashland County funds,
It's not a bank breaker,
yeah,
it's not a deal breaker.
yeah, it's probably less than $500,
It's the same sheet of plywood.
Yeah.
Repurpose.
We've been getting them printed banners, But yeah, I'm fine with that.
80% federal, 20% county, whatever
Sure.
it is.
Yeah.
Like I say, because people commented on that South GG and I said, do you realize the feds put $1 million, that was $1 million less the county had to put
Yeah.
into it.
Yep.
And this other one, where they're paying a 2.4 or 2.5, and it's the entire project hopefully,
Yeah,
that's a big deal.
no, I'd be all for that, to do something like that. And then, I can take pictures and put it up on our Facebook page. We have a lot of followers on our Facebook
We
page.
need a toot our horn.
Yeah, I agree.
What is Ashland County doing?
Yeah, I agree.
Where?
Yeah.
What's your point?
Yeah.
What do you want to know?
Sure.
And stay on the 13 by right.
Yeah. No, I think that's a great idea. No, it's all part of the project discussion. Yeah,
But it just gets more information out what Gary's saying, and people know what's going on.
yep.
More transparent.
Property.
So we talked about this at the last meeting. We have this property up on off of Poppy Road that's, landlocked. We talked to the property owner. If you remember, he had said at the time he would be interested in giving us an easement he had a dollar amount for any wood coming out of there that he would charge us, and a dollar amount for any gravel that came out of there that he would charge us. The committee indicated that they would rather try to purchase that property. So I did make him an offer. I talked to Dan. We came up with a dollar amount. We made him an offer. He came back actually just now this weekend, I think. He says he's not interested in selling. He would still like to keep the property, still interested in giving us an easement through it, but I mean, now he says he's willing to give an easement for the exploration of gravel. And then after we explore it, then he'd like to talk about a long-term or more permanent access easement, which I don't believe it's in our interest to we need to work out the whole agreement now instead of after the fact.
In there, and then he says no more.
Yeah,
We've just fixed up
yeah.
something for somebody else.
We built the road on his property that we don't have anything. So we need to work through it yet, to get an agreement in place before we've done anything, a full agreement. You know, I still, my opinion is we need to purchase the property. That he's not on board with that right now. He says it's his mother, him and his mother own it together. So just, you know, I just got the email back, well, Friday afternoon on this last one. So I just touch base with the committee, see what where your thoughts are going with this yet. Yeah.
The nice thing about gravel deposits is they don't walk away.
Right.
It doesn't rot.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it's nothing we have to have immediately, but you know, if we can get it and get in there, that would be great. But I don't want to do something rash and just to get in there and then have to deal with it on the back end.
Yeah, that's not a good way to do it.
No.
Okay. Tentatively, next meeting,
I don't know that we'd need a March 11th one. We could shoot for April 8th.
Just a point here, the election is April 2nd.
Okay,
So we'd have a whole new highway committee on the 16th.
so do we want to just hold off?
you want to push it out till May then, or what?
Well, and if something comes up that we have to have a meeting for some emergency or something, you could just do it then.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, if something would change on the project and, you know, say if SDP funding came through for GG, we would need to get together and decide where to reallocate our funding for this year.
And just send an email and see what date works and time frames.
Okay. So that would be out to May 13th would be the possible next date then.
And we'll have elections for highway committee on the 16th. So you will have a full committee in May.
Perfect. Thank you.
I'll second it.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.